Do you know how hard it is to fly under the radar for 24 years? Wisconsin Bank and Trust is the best secret in banking in the greater Green Bay area. We started back in 1999 in the area, and I joined the bank in 2002. When I joined in 2002, we had a total of $8 million in assets or loans in the area. And we grew that over the 21 years I've been there from $8 million to $200 million. How did we do that? Well, I'll tell you how we didn't do it. We didn't do it by having a great location. We're currently located on the West Frontage Road on Highway 41 in De Pere. And our office, quite frankly, looks much more like a dental office than it does a bank. And we didn't do it with a lot of marketing dollars. As a matter of fact, the most expensive thing on the budget for our marketing was the soles of my shoes. So how do you do it? How do you grow from $8 million to $200 million in loans? What we did is we had a really strong calling effort in Northeast Wisconsin, the more rural areas of Northeast Wisconsin in the Upper Peninsula. And as we built that base of clients, we made sure we focused very hard on these small and medium-sized businesses, that we took good care of them, and we got referrals. And we just kept building and building and building. Now we're at $200 million in total assets. But it does end up causing issues with unintentional ideas as far as, what is your bank thought of? And so what we ended up doing in that case is instead of thinking about the bank, what individuals would do, they'd be the people that I've called on, and they would go, "Oh, Craig Aderhold, I really need to talk to Craig Aderhold. I know he can solve this banking problem for me, but how is he going to do it? What is the name of that bank that he works for?" And that was the ultimate challenge that we had. So we knew we had to pivot. And then the challenge is what do we do? How do we pivot? At the same time, Heartland Financial, our holding company, was growing. It grew from $1.7 billion at the time I started, and just in a handful of different states. And the stock was traded over the counter to now today a holding company that has over $20 billion in assets. As a matter of fact, we can do loans for one single customer up to $50 million. And if they need more than $50 million, we have a syndications desk. So, and we have a lot of people that have lots of talent and a lot of skills. So it would be really a good time that we pivot and change how we market the bank and how we look at thinking about who the bank is and increasing our exposure and the awareness of the bank. It's not that we really necessarily want to change who the bank is. It's that we want to change our awareness. And so I think one of the big things that we thought of, if we're going to do that, and now's the right time to do that, location would be a big component of that. And as I was talking to our good friends at the Greater Green Bay Chamber, they referred me to Garritt Bader. And Garritt Bader found us a location that we're very excited about. And I'd like to turn it over to Garritt to visit a little bit more about that.
Connections can come in different ways. We've experienced a lot of them, all of us. I'd be remiss if I didn't make a brief plug for how that came together. A lot of us work in an industry where you either have to or you choose to preach confidentiality in many different ways. But also what you can find out is by being open about a few things about maybe what you're working on, relationships can come together. So knowing that with our chamber friends that some things are maybe being worked on, I think it worked well. We started a conversation. So step one, we have that conversation. Step two, you decided to make a pivot to come downtown. That's great. Where do you got to be? And in what ways do you have to be there? We met, Craig, myself, Doug Kolbeck, first time, and we just kind of had a session of what is important, what does the bank need? Because there are a lot of great corners downtown. We've all driven past them. You could be in many different spots and have great results. What came out of the conversation, though, was the importance of place and timing. And as many of us do in life, just hard numbers, rent. What can you pay and what can we do? The property that we started working on and talked about is just to our south. And it's the building that, depending on your age, you either know as the Bangkok Garden Building or the Baxter's Building. It was an old saloon. It was a boarding house for many years. The building is also over 100 years old. And with that comes its own degree of challenges. What we found in doing this, and I'd like to think we went in pretty wide-eyed on what was possible in a building of that age, is that in making one big pivot, in this case to come to this building, you're going to end up making a bunch of minor little pivots. Like when your masons are at the building and they're taking some brick out and realize that they can crush parts of it with their hand. That is not structurally sound, folks. It's not. Like when you realize the tin ceiling you want to use can't use because you have to get sewer lines in and drain lines for the upstairs units below a structural beam that you just can't move. When you realize you have 5 layers of a floor and of course you have a lovely layer of asbestos mastic in between. What it showed was each of those came down to the decisions of how does this impact the customer and the experience that is driving this whole decision to be down here. I like to think we found a way through it, that all these solutions we will be able to deliver, not in May, but in about 30 days. It's going to help tell the story of Wisconsin Bank and Trust going forward and hit the true market awareness of what the bank is and who they want to be for their customers.
Thanks, Garrett. Being the most recent employee at Wisconsin Bank and Trust, joining here in past April, in April of this year, throughout that interview process, one of the questions that I asked was, where are you located? You're located where? I've driven past that building a million times, I've never noticed it, right? Just like I'm sure many of you have as well. To say that I was excited to learn that we were going to be moving downtown was an understatement. Now, being downtown is one thing. Having a banner on the side of a building, to me that means more than just a physical address and where you are. To me that says, here we are, we're open for business, we're ready to serve our communities. Now, moving downtown is just part of the strategy. The other part that we really want to be part of and contribute to is contributing to the already existing vibrant business culture that exists on Broadway Avenue now. We believe in local brands, local leadership, local decision-making to help serve the communities that we live and work in. Now, we don't know exactly what the future of Wisconsin Bank and Trust is going to hold, but we sure do know where it's going to be located.
We are very excited to be part of the downtown Green Bay community and the on Broadway district. Thank you very much.
Thank you.